All right, guys, you need to buckle up for this one. This is the 1997 ASA Pontiac Excitement 300 from Hawkeye Down Speedway in Iowa. Now, why is the Pontiac part so important? I'll explain you shortly. Also, look at the grid. As we advance, we'll see Jimmie Johnson makes his stock car debut, along with my childhood short track favorite, Gary St. Amant, who I just met this past weekend at the Snowball Derby in Pensacola, Florida. As promised, here's that cheapskate, Jimmie Johnson.
5 cars, Bobby Gill out of Dalton, Georgia, in the Leo Motorsports Pontiac. His outside, Chevrolet brought in Jimmie Johnson, the off-road racer out of El Cajon, California. He'll start the number 4 car of Bud Gevin outside row 8.
As we move ahead in the event, you're up to see something absolutely wild on pit road. Watch.
Place finish, but continues to run strong.
Problems for Joe Knott's Raby Ford. He is on pit road, Sandy.
Well, right now they're putting on 2 rear tires. It appears that they may have missed setup. Doesn't appear anything else is red, but they are down and away now. 2 rear tires.
Well, that's one of the quick fixes for adjusting the handling of the race car is to change rear tires, not just tires on either side.
And we saw it immensely help the teams at
He's got bigger problems. He's got smoke.
So basically, we saw a rear tire pit stop, and it appears like he broke the rear end or something, but he did a rear tire pit stop, and as I explained, it had been used with success in the past. Who'd have known? And believe me, this is just the start of the craziness in this ASA event.
Well, like it is here tonight.
It's a pretty interesting race car that Steve is driving here tonight. It's an old chassis, but it didn't have many laps on it. In fact, the last time it won a race was in 1995. It was set up as a road racer when the ASA Series visited Topeka at Heartland Park.
Tony Raines took the wheel on that one.
They took a win that day. Oh, and we got big problem in turn 4, sliding right into you. One of those cars is Bob Seneca.
Chuck Henningsen is basting out.
So right in the middle of the broadcast crew explaining how the race leader's car was last ran as a road course car, there is an absolute big one out of turn 4. So, in the interest of time, we are going to move straight ahead to the next big one, a few laps after that, and we have driver Mike Kofer, who's lived a crazy life, evidently.
Got able to climb out under his own power and walk away. And now Mike Kofer climbs out of the 79, the Black & Decker car. It's good to see as well. Mike, a former NASCAR Southwest Tour Rookie of the Year, a winner at the Stockton 99 Speedway Southwest Tour competition, and a former place kicker for the world champion San Francisco 49ers and the Indianapolis Colts.
Perfect world, I'd be able to tell you what lap of the race it is. Unfortunately, on this version of the race I found, there were not lap markers on it, but however, the 03 is a local hometown guy getting lapped, and now he's got the leaders 3 wide going down the front stretch, and my childhood hero, Gary St. Amant, takes the lead. How exciting.
The leader in the points, Kevin Sawinski, now taking the lead here. Could get 5 more for leading the most laps, and of course, with the win, even gain more.
And he just puts a lap on a new driver to Bud Kevin's team. You see Gary waves to his new teammate. That's Jimmie Johnson, Bud Kevin's number 4. And Jimmie Johnson rose to popularity through the ranks of the Mickey Thompson Off-Road Series and now in the Soda Off-Road Series. Chevrolet really likes this young man, and they want him to go ASA racing. And that is why they are here tonight. In fact, Kurt Fischel, the head of General Motors Motorsports Division, is here tonight watching how Jimmie Johnson does in his ASA debut, and he's looking pretty good.
So I stand corrected about the lap marker. You can see after 185 or 300 laps, the 51 of Brandon Sperling is in the lead over my childhood hero of Gary St. Amant. Now, do you remember that 03 car earlier that was the hometown hero who got bumped out of the way as he was being lapped? Why don't you keep an eye on him and the new leader, the 51 of Brandon Sperling.
Big problems in turn 3.
Johnny
Brandon Sperling and Johnny Spa involved in a a fiery incident in turn 3. Brandon climbs out of the car right away. He was the leader of the race. Johnny Spa was lapsed out of the 03. And Brandon trying to see what he can do to help Spa climb out of the car, and he does. The fire crew there right away. Brandon checking on his rival and everybody out of the car. So the 6th caution flag of the night waves.
So, after the lap car wrecks your leader, there is a blazing inferno that the fire crew does eventually get hold of. So, and if you think this race is done with surprises, oh buddy, we are not done nearly with what this race has in store for us.
Here at Hawkeye Down Speedway, both drivers are out of the car and okay, but the incident did rupture the fuel cell of the 03. Jim, let's take a look at this from this angle here too. Brandon gets way down on the apron, and you can see his wheels are turned to the right a little bit. I'm wondering if he got so low on the racetrack that it caused his car to bounce up into Johnny as opposed to Johnny coming down.
And under braking, it looks like he
Incidental contact,
right.
Of course.
Under braking, he may have lost the rear end with all the load going to the front of the car. When he went inside of Johnny, may have thought the door was shut, wanted to get back out of it, and it was too late.
So, for a broadcast that has been absolutely amazing up until this point, that was the worst explanation, description of a crash in a sporting event, anything I've ever heard in my life. So, we need the race judge, and I will give him to you. Hey, y'all, I'm the race judge. I'm here to make sense of this whole race leader lap car down incident. This one's pretty easy. The silver 03 car runs straight down the track, hits the leader, crashes them both. You are guilty of crashing the race leader.
Brandon was late in the race, and I was trying to, we were running in a good position. I was trying to stay ahead of him, and I knew I couldn't hold him off, so I gave him the low side coming into 3. I thought I gave him enough room. I drove the car up to the outside at turn 3, and I don't know what happened. We just got together, but I know I didn't come down on him because, when I went into the corner, I drove into the high side, not the low side. But we got together, and I backed her in pretty hard.
So, an explanation that's honestly not any better than the play-by-play commentary, who's been doing a great job all race. We move on ahead, and we're going to see where Jimmie Johnson is currently competing at in this event.
And behind Jack comes Jimmie Johnson, the young driver that the folks at Chevrolet hoping to see great things out of in the future of ASA racing. He runs 15th tonight, 1 lap down.
With 42 short laps left in this race, we take a look at the leader, my childhood hero, Gary St. Amant.
Gary St. Amant around in turn 4. He spins in turn number 4. We are under yellow once again. No idea what it was that brought Gary around.
So, just being real, they really didn't give a reason or show any replay of Gary St. Amant, your race leader spin. So, I'm not quite sure what happened, but here we have a feel-good story.
And what a story this could be for Mike Miller. Just a week ago, after blowing up an engine at I-70 Speedway, Mike Miller climbed out of the car and told the crowd that was his last race. He was out of money. Finds enough money from the folks at Old Milwaukee to get in one more race. And Mike Miller, able to find another engine on the shelf, is just a couple laps away from winning the Pontiac Excitement 300.
We go from a feel-good story to a feel-bad story as your points leader, Kevin Sawinski, gets turned in turn 3 by Ted Smokestad with a handful of laps to go.
Kevin Sawinski sees his night come to a close on the wall in turn 3.
Well, he got absolutely used up in turn 3. Kevin Sawinski has some absolutely super passionate fans. Take a look at this.
Finish about 15th or somewhere in there, so valuable points being picked up by Gary St. Amant.
Janet, who is one of Kevin's biggest fans, dresses up like a bee every race, sharing the frustration with her favorite driver. Large contingent of Sawinski fans who stake out their corner here.
Well, even though, unfortunately, your points leader, Kevin Sawinski's night is over, it's really going to help Gary St. Amant. We still have a race to go.
Under green as Mike Miller brings him to the line, and we're back at it. Hansen right behind him. Oh, and Mike Miller smoking horribly through 1 and 2.
He popped going to turn number 3 on his fast restart. Hansen unable to gain control, and now he goes to the inside of the 18 car.
Dives to the bottom as they go through 3 and 4. Hansen, the winner in Minneapolis, comes inside, and they're banging all the way up the front straightaway. 2 veterans of the ASA short track wars going at it. The smoke continues to billow out of the back of Mike Miller's car. Who needs it more? Mike Miller racing for the paycheck, so desperately out of money. Needs the win to continue in 97. Hansen trying to get his second win of the season. Here comes Carlson. The win goes to Hansen. He gets spun. Goes up over the banking. And will finish victoriously, staying off the wall.
I mean, golly, this race had some of everything. A rear tire pit stop, some good short track racing, some crashes, a blazing inferno, and a barn burner ending. I mean, and Jimmie Johnson's first stock car race. This is the best stock car race ever. He nearly hit the wall. He missed that by an inch. Crazy, ain't it? Thanks for watching.
Every day from school, and it was a Hooters Pro Cup, and you had the ASA on CNN.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was the biggest Gary St. Amant fan. Like, you have no idea. I remember one time I was at my friend's house, and I told him that there was a race on TV, so he knew I was like a big Jeff Gordon fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he was only cup races. So what I did was watch the ASA, and I was like, "Hey man, that 7 car is Jeff Gordon." And he goes,
so in at the end of the '97 season, you know, we had Chevrolet kind of helping us out a little bit.
Yeah.
And they came to us and said, "We have a guy that we want you to help out.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get into round track racing."
Mm-hmm.
So he come to a few races, and we went and tested with Jimmie Johnson.
Yes, I do recall that. I do recall that story.
So the very first night that we tested at Kenly, North Carolina. Southern National, Kenly, North Carolina.
Is that place open still?
It's still open.
I never heard of it. Oh, God.
Jimmie spun out like 7 or 8 times, never hit nothing.
Oh, that's rough.
I knew how good he was then.
Sure.
So we stayed in the same room that night, and he just stayed up, and he just ba 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 ba, and all of a
I've
sudden,
heard he talks a lot.
All of a sudden he says, "I don't understand." I was like, "What don't you understand, Jimmie?" He says, "Why me?" I said, "What do you mean, why me?" He said,
God-given, man.
and that's exactly what I told him. I said,